The most famous meal of the Krusty Krab, and probably of all television, is the mythical Krabby Patty, whose ingredients are the best kept secret of the restaurant, and its secret formula is the biggest mystery in all of SpongeBob SquarePants, being central to the rivalry between Plankton and Mr. Krabs. If we pay attention, we will notice that throughout the show we are shown different ingredients inside the burger, and over time we notice that the success of the burger is due to a secret ingredient and not so much to a particular recipe. Just because of this, already a lot of people have created their crazy theories and conspiracies to say what this ingredient is, and the most popular theory in that aspect is that it is made with crab meat, something that, from what I have been able to see, a lot of people believe to be true. And yes, at first glance it may make some sense, I mean it's in the name of the burger. The name of the Krabby Patty literally means crab burger, but we happen to know with complete certainty that the Krabby Patty has no crab meat in it. What's more, it doesn't even seem to have meat in it. So today we're going to talk about what the real secret ingredient of this mysteriously delicious underwater burger is. And we'll start by talking about the false notion that it's made from crab meat. Half the internet seems to believe that they are made with crab meat, but that, well, they sure as hell don't have crab in them. How do we know this? Well, for starters, most of the evidence given by people who hold this theory can be explained very easily. First, the assumption is that the reason there are a bunch of Krabby Patties and no other Bikini Bottom crabs is because Mr. Krabs is like a Hannibal Lecter style for crabs, but this all falls apart when we realize that there are actually quite a few crabs in the show. In the episode Cracked Crabs, we get to see a big convention of stingy crabs getting together to award the stingiest of them all. And yes, some say that those are actually not Bikini Bottom crabs, that they come from other places. But in fact, one of them appears as a Bikini Bottom supermarket manager in the episode Hello Bikini Bottom. In addition, there is Mr. Krabs' whole family. The show features his mother Betsy, his grandfather Redbeard, his father Victor, and his 3 nephews. His uncle Alan Quarter Crab appears in the SpongeBob 28 comic book, and we know he has a sister and an aunt named Sally. All of this is not an indication that Mr. Krabs murdered the Bikini Bottom crabs, but rather indicates that his family comes from somewhere else, even though we do know that there are other crabs in town. Another piece of evidence given is a part of the episode A Midlife Crustacean, where Mr. Krabs eats a hamburger and says, "Ah, so this is my flavor." At first glance it looks like a first-class confession, but in reality the episode is about Mr. Krabs' midlife crisis as he feels old. That Krabby Patty was going to be thrown in the trash because it was already old and wrinkled, and Mr. Krabs says that he and the Krabby Patty are the same because they've seen better days. And what tells us definitively that there is no crab in the Krabby Patties are some tweets on behalf of Vincent Waller, one of the most important members of the team that makes SpongeBob episodes, and who has been working there for 20 years. He revealed to us that the Krabby Patties are meatless, a decision made by SpongeBob creator Steven Hillenburg. Also, there is a post on Instagram that told this conspiracy theory, and the official Nickelodeon account commented telling us that they can confirm that the Krabby Patty are 100% free of crab meat. Another crazy piece of evidence being used is a list of ingredients floating around the internet, which claims to use imitation crab meat. But there is actually no evidence that it was posted on nick.com. And it absolutely contradicts everything we know, because imitation crab meat is made with fish, which is also meat. So, yes, it is clear that there is no crab meat in Krabby Patties, and by the way, the conspiracy theory that it is whale meat falls apart, which is, by the way, far more ridiculous than thinking it has crab meat in it. One theory that has gained a lot of popularity is the use of an ingredient called Poseidon's powder. It turns out that a year ago, if you googled the Krabby Patty recipe, this ingredient came up on the SpongeBob wiki page, and according to Urban Dictionary, this is just another name for a certain white powder that is impressively addictive, impressively harmful, and impressively illegal. But the truth is, that's just an urban legend, put out there by someone who just happened to jump in and edit the wiki without further ado. There is no episode where this is shown or mentioned, and it doesn't even come up in the comics or anything. It's completely false. And while it would explain the addiction that Krabby Patties seem to cause, that can also be explained because they are freaking delicious. The last theory we'll dismantle is the one that says there really is no secret ingredient. This one is much more interesting than the previous ones and tells us that the formula is actually an invention of Mr. Krabs, so that Plankton, his only competition, will spend all his funds and time trying to get it, thus ensuring that the chum bucket poses no threat. Actually, what makes the Krabby Patties special according to this is that SpongeBob makes them, and truth be told, I think he's kind of right. It is evident, especially in the episode Neptune's Spatula, that SpongeBob has a very special affection and dedication to making hamburgers. This made that, in a culinary battle with King Neptune, SpongeBob made the superior burger, with the only difference being the love he put into it. So things seem to point to the real secret ingredient being love, right? Well, yes, but no. If we watch the episode Patty Caper, it's obvious that the secret ingredient is real and physical, it's in a bottle. And I think we've been looking at this mystery from the wrong angle, especially considering that there's not only one secret ingredient, there's actually two, if you want to consider SpongeBob's love and dedication as one of the ingredients, and I think I have an idea of what the first secret ingredient is. So we know it's a veggie burger, and the mystery is exactly what it is that gives the Krabby Patty its special flavor. Although I couldn't find the specific episode, it is a known fact that there is an episode where Plankton discovers that the secret ingredient is plankton, but it turns out to be a lie in the end. My initial thought was that, well, it's true, and that it was actually a double bluff with plankton being the real secret ingredient, more specifically phytoplankton, which are the plant organisms that are part of plankton. The biggest evidence for this can be seen in the first episode of SpongeBob SquarePants, where an impressive congregation of anchovies arrives to demand Krabby Patties. Well, the anchovies' main food is plankton, and it would make quite a bit of sense that they would feed on plankton primarily. And in fact, this was going to be the theory I was going to close this video with, but then I noticed a few things that made me reevaluate the whole thing. First, in Patty Caper, Plankton mentions that he had tried absolutely every ingredient in alphabetical order, A through R, but still couldn't find it, so the initial letter of the secret ingredient goes between R and Z. Another curious thing is in the episode Friend or Foe, where we see the origin of the Krabby Patty recipe. Here we can see that Plankton and Mr. Krabs raised it together, and at no time do they add more planktons to the recipe. The recipe turns out delicious because Plankton takes the part that says they should add a pinch of bait, and by slamming the door on the restaurant he had with Mr. Krabs, he caused some ingredients to fall into the meat they were preparing, and that's when the secret formula is created thanks to Plankton. So it looks like first it doesn't start with P because the P goes 2 letters before the R, and it also looks like it's something used in the kitchen because it fell off a shelf. So what could it be? In addition to the above, we know it comes in a small bottle, and it doesn't take much to give it its special flavor. It's also probably cheap since Mr. Krabs is exaggeratedly stingy, but that's just speculation on my part. I think the secret ingredient is a small flavoring used by a large part of the food industry known as sodium glutamate. This has a lot of very interesting characteristics. For starters, it starts with that one, sodium glutamate. So it fits with the Patty Caper episode and the condition that it must start with a letter that is after R in the alphabet. You can buy it very cheaply and in not so large quantities. On Amazon you get 2 pounds for $12. It is basically the salt that gives the mythical umami flavor, a fifth flavor that is considered delicious. This flavoring alone does not have a great effect, but enhances the flavors of other foods, and it has to be used in very specific amounts to be effective. And best of all, what I think tells us that we finally discovered the secret ingredient of the Krabby Patty is that it can be extracted from seaweed. So, apart from the ingredients that we already know from the crab meat, such as flour, barnacle shavings, salt, a little bit of raspberry and turmeric, it has a very specific amount of sodium glutamate. In addition to this, they make the burger with sesame seed bun, sea cheese, sea lettuce, sea tomatoes, mustard, mayonnaise, ketchup, and sea onions, being all these ingredients that we can see when making a Krabby Patty, but it doesn't end here. As I told you, there is a second secret ingredient, and this is the secret sauce mentioned in a few episodes. We have no idea what the secret sauce is, as there is not a single clue about this, but it is possible that it is seaweed sauce, which had already been mentioned several times, mixed with some other secret flavoring and all the love of SpongeBob. So, I hope you liked this video. It took me a lot of researching and reinvestigating the mystery of this episode several times, since it's such a confusing thing, but I think we came to a pretty good conclusion. Like if you liked it, and subscribe for more videos like this, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.